It looks like it's getting busy. It's time to start the discussion. I hope you can hear me and see me as well. Once again, hello everyone. We are happy to have you here at the SplitMetrics App Growth Panel. As you know, SplitMetrics is a global company offering an ecosystem of enterprise-grade products and services that serve as a growth engine for mobile businesses. An Apple Search Ads partner with a dedicated team of 150 plus experts who live and breathe this mobile app growth. SplitMetrics is obsessed with making its customers successful, and that's why top apps and game publishers choose to grow with SplitMetrics. As we start to enter 2023, mobile app user acquisition managers and ASO specialists are updating their playbooks to secure ROI in the tightening economic environment. To help mobile app publishers and developers drive stably and profitably through this storm, we've invited top leaders and seasoned experts in this mobile marketing. Quick introduction. My name is Tyler Bryan. I am an enterprise account executive here at SplitMetrics, and I will be the host today for the meeting. And please also welcome our panelists. First, we have Levant, who is the founder of ShyftUp. Levant, I'll give you the floor if you want to do some introductions of your own, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Tyler. My name is Levant. I'm the founder at ShyftUp. I've personally been in mobile marketing for 12 years now. Prior to ShyftUp, I was on the app side. I was the head of marketing at a VPN company. We acquired close to 500 million users there. And then a little over 6 years ago, beginning of 2017, I started ShyftUp. And ShyftUp is essentially a user acquisition agency specifically for non-gaming mobile apps. We specialize in app store optimization, Apple Search Ads, and Google UA. And looking forward to this panel.
Fantastic. Thanks for the information and great to meet you. I'll turn it over next to Hannah, who is our fearless leader and head of sales here at SplitMetrics. Hannah, the floor is yours if you want to do an introduction of your own.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tyler. Thank you for the introduction. Yeah, it's great to be here today. Thank you very much, guys, for inviting. I'm looking after the sales at the EMEA region at SplitMetrics. I'm super passionate about mobile marketing, ASO, Apple Search Ads, and SplitMetrics. I've been almost 5 years, so working mainly with mobile industry and with this fields like ASO and Apple Search Ads. So looking forward to having a great session today with you guys.
Awesome. Thanks for the introduction. And last but not least, we have Matt. He is an account executive here at SplitMetrics, and he helps app publishers of all sizes automate and optimize to their scale of Apple Search Ads, their campaigns profitability with SplitMetrics' ecosystem of products and services for mobile marketing. Last year alone, he helped bring on over 35 plus apps and 8 digital worth of budget for SplitMetrics Acquire. So please welcome Matt. And please, Matt, if you don't mind sharing a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tyler. Well said. It's a great summary. And now I'm located in Singapore. Seems like now we're covering all areas of the world now, with Hannah being in Europe and Johan being in the US side.
Yeah, fully global now. It's awesome. Okay, so now that we've met everybody, just a little bit of housekeeping that we need to attend to. The purpose of today's panel is to determine key user acquisition and ASO trends that will help mobile app marketers maximize their revenue growth in this post-COVID digital cooldown. We have some questions prepared, but we'll also open up to the audience for questions. We want to make sure that it's both prepared questions and stuff that you guys can respond to. So please feel free to submit your questions and comments in the chat section of the webinar panel. Either our panelists of each team will share their answers or responses. And if we can't cover all of your questions during the session, we'll follow up and address those responses additionally. We are recording the session and we'll be sending it out to registrants once we complete the panel. And with this, I'd like to open today's discussion. So we'll formally move into the panel discussion. So I'll start off with the first question, which is based around macroeconomic landscape. So in 2023, it is predicted to be an unprecedented one, as we've seen over the last couple of years. Mobile app businesses are facing challenges such as economic slowdown, globally rising inflation, tightening data privacy regulations, return to real life experiences, which all combine to lead to budget cuts, revenue drops, and an urgent need for ROI-approved solutions. My first question to our experts is how the current economic climate and the state of the mobile industry are forcing our customers to adapt their strategies, approaches, and business processes. Levent, let's start with you.
Sure.
What are you seeing?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great question. The macroeconomic landscape has been shifting, and we've seen signs of that, not just in 2023, but early on in 2022. And at ShyftUp, like we're super fortunate, just like you guys at SplitMetrics, we work with a wide variety of different apps in their various growth stages, like huge companies with mobile apps, as well as like smaller apps. And we're able to observe their reactions to this macroeconomic landscape. And unfortunately, we've seen that, first of all, in the larger companies that we work with, we have experienced huge layoffs to begin with. A lot of people lost their jobs. And of course, as people are losing their jobs, their marketing budgets are also tightening. And the reflection on those tightening budgets on paid UA and ASO, maybe I can dive into those separately. Number one, on the ASO side, what we have seen is that previously, a lot of companies have seen ASO as something that they have to do. Obviously, we're tracking everything. We're trying to quantify the impact of ASO, but at the same time, it's not something that's mostly questioned by the finance teams in terms of should we allocate budget into ASO or not. But throughout 2022 and into 2023, we're seeing that the teams within these companies that approve budgets for ASO, they now want to pair that with more metrics, more KPIs, and tie it back to an ROI goal. Like back in 2020, back in 2021, this wasn't the case, but now we're seeing that, okay, if you want this ASO budget, but what is the impact of ASO to our bottom line? So we're spending as an agency, as an ASO agency, we're spending a lot more time showcasing the impact of ASO and basically quantifying the impact of ASO on ROI. On the paid UA side, of course, all of the companies that we work with, especially all of our clients are in the non-gaming mobile space. Majority of them monetize with a subscription model. So the ROI targets are quite tight to begin with. But there has always been a good balance between growth and ROI targets. Like we hit ROI targets with some sort of a flexibility as long as we sustain growth. Now it seems like that balance is shifting more towards making sure the ROI is definitely there, even if it means that growth may be negatively impacted, as long as we stay within that ROI goal. So this is what we're seeing, and it looks like this is going to be the case all throughout 2023. Tightened budgets and more focus on ROI.
Tyler, it looks like you're on mute.
Oopsies. Yeah, it looks like, or it sounds like ROI and value are paramount right now, regardless of growth, which makes sense. Hannah, I would love to get your take on this.
Yeah, thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Levent, and I totally agree with you, Levent, because I mean, on our side, we see the same trend, and I fully agree on the fact that the marketers should be, more careful with the budgets and where to invest their budgets. So I think 2023, and everyone would agree, is going to be another year when we're trying to do more with less, to be honest. This means that, again, as Levent said, marketers will be operating with smaller teams, lower budgets, and higher expectations. So the main focus would be return on investment, first of all. And this is where we and marketers need to be smart with their resources in order to get good return on investment. What else? We're already, and we will be exploring a variety of channels to reach the audience. This is not something new, to be honest, but this year we see a strong focus on channels diversification and also make the most of low-cost options like organic and own channels. We at SplitMetrics agency recently observed big demand for support in building an optimal channel mix. The client come and say, okay, guys, can you help us with the strategy? Can you help us with the recommendations, which channels to focus on in the first place? Because at our portfolio, we have different channels, Facebook, Google, Apple search ads. And this is where usually people need help, understanding which channel are the best from the return on investment perspective, especially this year. So from the requests we're getting from the clients, it seems like a multi-channel approach that incorporates organic is really trending now. And I think we'll cover that on with the next questions as well.
Yeah, thanks for the insight. And Matt, would love to get your take as well, more from the like Apple search ads focus side.
Yeah, thank you very much. We see all the trends are changing. The one thing that is same within the years is that it's really difficult to make sure you unmute yourself. For me, I always have a challenge with that as well. And yeah, I agree with the points that Levent mentioned and Hannah as well about ROI being prioritized currently. So I think when I speak to the customers, that's what I also hear, that the budgets would shift from those channels and the initiatives like this brand building and like the reputation building towards some that actually are possible to measure and then attribute correctly. And what I really liked is this last summer's report from Sequoia Capital, when they say that all the initiatives that aren't about increasing the profits, improving the ROI, or minimizing the risk are just fluff. So in terms of Apple search ads, what can help to increase the revenue, maximize ROI, reduce the risk is definitely the automation first approach. But even for the publishers who has the automation, it's all about using it smart as well. So for that, we typically release those benchmark reports, and the next one will be live this month. The customer followers are able to get all the recommendation in the live mode. But I think the interesting point compared the last year performance and what we're seeing throughout like the last part of the 2022 is that if, let's say, before 80% of the publishers would say, okay, we're ready just to ramp up the budgets and then we will work on our main post-install metric, that now it changed in the opposite way, that 80% of the publishers, they want to make sure that they perform within their target metric and maybe reduce the amount there and optimize it first, and only after they would unlock more budget. So I think it really resonates with the points mentioned above.
Yeah, just efficiently moving through that, it makes sense.
Can I add one more thing?
Sure, of course.
Yeah, since this is all about like predictions and like what to expect in 2023, I also kind of feel like there is a very like psychological aspect to all these like budget cuts and layoffs, because companies tend to follow what other companies are doing. Like even like Google recently laid off 12,000 people. So as a tech company, when you see that, you almost start feeling like if Google has laid off 12,000 people, probably terrible times are ahead. So we should also follow this route of like laying off people, cutting off marketing budgets, even if it's not absolutely necessary based on your current outlook of your own reality. That's why I'm also kind of like thinking, now that like all of these companies have got it out of their chest of like laying off people, cutting some of their costs, maybe throughout 2023, they may get a little more relaxed in terms of these budget cuts. That can also, and again, this is somewhat of a prediction. It may not hold true, but I feel like if there's this like psychological aspect to it, we may actually see an opposite trend to what we have seen throughout the end of 2022 and beginning of 2023. Just wanted to add that.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting take. And yeah, being that those larger tech companies are sort of our barometers and our North Stars sometimes, those sort of things can change, and ideally budgets can open up if more money is available.
Right.
we'll move into our second question here. And that question is about channel mix. Before we dive into that discussion, I'd like to ask our event team to actually load our quick poll here for a channel mix strategy for 2023. As you can see here, the questions are, search ads, like what's your user acquisition channels that you're planning to rely on in 2023, whether that's search ads like ASA and Google ads, social media ads, in-app ads. We're going to focus on ASO or other. Please let us know what that is. And so while you guys are completing that poll, I'll dive into the next question, which is again surrounded by or about channel mix. So as our audience takes part in this poll, let's get back to the discussion. Users, our omni-channel and app marketers have to meet them where they are the most effective ways possible. In your opinion, how is tightening budgets and privacy changes are going to change marketers' approaches to creating proper channel mix in 2023? So with all these changes, how are we going to create a proper channel mix for 2023? Levant, I'll start with you.
Yeah, sure. I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all channel mix for every single app out there. I think it will, and it has always been that way. Like it will completely depend on the size of the app, the growth stage of the app. If it's an established app versus still like in the early stages of growth. But there are a few things that will be common for a lot of different apps, in my opinion. Number one is on the paid UA side, since there's a much higher focus on ROI, of course, marketers are going to lean towards channels that they can track and quantify one-to-one. And when you think about that, Apple Search Ads is the one channel that comes to mind that fits that bill. So I feel like Apple Search Ads is still going to be one of the highest priority channels for a lot of app marketers, and not because of the fact that it's the highest performing one, but because of the fact that it is the most trackable one. So I feel like Apple Search Ads will be the go-to channel on the paid UA side for a lot of different apps. On the ASO front, I think again different type of apps is going to approach that differently. I think ASO will be a lesser priority for apps that are in their earlier stages of growth, just because of the fact that like that's an easy marketing field to cut. But in my opinion, it should be this way. But for apps that are in their later stages of growth, more established apps with a decent install base already, I think ASO will be and should be a high priority channel because of the fact that the paid UA budgets are being cut down. So apps will be losing users from the paid UA channels. So it will be of utmost importance to at least maintain their visibility on the App Store by investing heavily on App Store optimization. So as the paid UA budgets are being cut, users are going down, at least for established apps, ASO should definitely be a high priority, just so it, at the very least, maintain their visibility and conversion rate on the app stores. So at least they maintain that sort of channel of installs for them.
Yeah, I agree. Hannah, I would love to bring you into the conversation and hear what you have to say.
Yeah, thank you, Tyler. Again, agree with what Levin said. Basically, just to add to what I mentioned for the first question, I've started with channel diversification. So I think it is becoming vital for reaching more people and increasing revenue, and the focus to the diversification is growing. I personally think that this is a smart move for marketers, as it allows them to tap into different audiences and find new ways to engage with their target audience. Again, we will continue to use a wide variety of channels as we used to do before, including social networks, search engines like Meta ads, Google ads, Apple search ads, of course, TikTok ads, but also update the approaches to attribution and results measurement. This is the hottest topic right now, how to attribute the users, how to understand the target audience, how to correctly target this audience. Again, what will be important as well is the making better the user acquisition journeys, create personalized experiences. In this regard, one of the most exciting things that I think we've started to discuss that last year, and I think we will continue to do this year too, is web to app. It provides an opportunity to expand the value proposition and promotional offers on the one hand, and on the other hand, capture valuable optimization signals in a privacy-centric way. And let's not forget about the impact of video creatives on social media. TikTok and Instagram Reels are changing the game. And marketers are taking advantage of that by using video as a way to grab people's attention. It's clear that video creative can drive awareness, installs, even inspire user-generated content. So this is another opportunity for marketers as well that they need to use this year.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And thanks for opening up the aperture a little bit and kind of talking more broadly about that. Matt, I'm curious to hear from your side after chatting with customers and prospects. What are you hearing about channel mix?
I mean, you just took all my points, guys. What's up? Yeah, I already mentioned this Apple search as being privacy centric, as Hannah says, possible to really see transparently what happens there. Low funnels, you said, Yvonne. So yeah, that are the characteristic of Apple in the marketing mix. And what you can say as well is a high LTV, definitely. And some customers would actually question the relative high LTV of Apple search ads because people are saying that, but then where is data to prove it, especially around here, Singapore, where you have some regions with Android dominated markets. And then what I really love to find it was this AppsFlyer benchmark report for the last year, where they actually shared the data about how the user behaves after installing the app. And then it actually different based on the country and the category looking at. And for example, when you look at the lifestyle shopping category, then you would see that the 30-day pay rate, meaning the percentage of the users that would actually buy something within the 30 days after install is 5 times higher in Apple search ads compared to other channels, which isn't the case in every category. But just seeing this data, it makes me question, like, how can you then compare the channels by the install and the CPIs that goes from one channel to another if the worth of those installs is really so much different. With that as well, anyway, some of the marketers they don't put Apple search ads inside the marketing mix. I heard from some amazing publishers as well. They tried Apple search ads and they also tried some automation, and then they wouldn't get like some amazing results. And for that, I don't know how we're with timing. Tyler, I have a little story. Do you think we can fit in?
I think we can fit it in. Go for it.
Oh yeah. So it just happened just recently when my friend was moving houses around here in Singapore and asked to keep her like $3,000 worth bicycle in my place. And obviously I decided to try it while I had a chance. And then I went out there on the road, and it was like really difficult to cycle because, like, I don't know, even the road was like so smooth and everything. And then I realized it just goes on the maximum gear, and I couldn't shift it because it's like this some luxury kind of model where it's not that transparent as with a normal bike. And it took me a while to realize how to do it. And finally, I switched to the normal gear. When I was giving the bike back to my friend, I asked her, like, why would you use this setting? Because, you know, I'm a big guy and it was difficult for me anyways. And then what I saw on her face was a surprise because she didn't even know it's possible to shift the gear there. So, yeah. And the point of the story here is that even if you have like the best channel, the best technology to use the channel, you really need to know how to use it. And for that, I think it's a role of ads, Apple Search Ads managers is instrumental in explaining how to do it. And it's definitely not the YouTube, the place where you should go for these insights.
I appreciate the color there. Sounds like you needed to shift up if my dad joke works there. But yes, let's move on to the third question here, which is going to be based on AI technology. Before we get into that question, though, I'd love for my events team to actually just share the results of the previous poll. All right, and it looks like ASA and Google Ads is taking the cake there, but in second and third place, quite respectively, is social media ads like Facebook and Instagram, and then ASO as well, which makes a ton of sense. I'm sure that we're all seeing that. Fantastic. So with that poll over with, I want to quickly dive into a secondary poll as well regarding tech. So if my team could actually present that next poll, that would be fantastic. I won't go through all of the components here, but please feel free to answer the questions, and we will show the results here after a couple more questions. So now that we've got that poll going, let's dive into technology. So AI is about to eat the world. It's quite crazy. Just over the past 6 months, the insane speed in which AI has sort of come to the market. We have heard this for 5 years or so now, but we're starting to see it ramp up faster. And now that we're witnessing this heated debate around ChatGPT, for example, industry professionals are turning to AI tools to find more cost-effective and time-efficient ways to automate their paid and organic marketing activities. Levon, I'll start with you. Could you please share your predictions on how AI is going to change UA and ASO this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess like the hottest topic that we all talk about is ChatGPT, and within our team, a lot of our team members have already started adopting it, especially on the ASO side. And I'll give some specific examples for that too. It's really interesting, and the results have been extremely promising. But I feel like aside from marketers like us using ChatGPT to for their marketing copy or anything like that, I believe certain tools such as like SplitMetrics or tool companies will definitely adopt these technologies to build certain features. I think that's one of the predictions that I can bring to the table. So this is going to open a huge door for a lot of these ASO and paid UA tools in the market to come up with new features that rely on ChatGPT and other AI technology. But maybe I can tell you guys a little bit about some of the like the hands-on experiences that we have with ChatGPT, especially on the ASO side. Now, the one thing that we started using it for on the ASO side is simply writing up long description copies on both iOS and on Android. For example, if we need to write up a long description from scratch, ChatGPT ends up writing some really compelling long description copy. Of course, you need to tell it like what to do. We input certain things like I have an app in the health and fitness category that tracks cycling, for example. I'm making this up right now, and we need to write up a 3,000 character description that mentions this, and these features, and then ChatGPT spits something out, and then we keep feeding it with feedback, and it basically revises the copy to the level where we're like, okay, this is perfect. So that's one, like writing up copy from scratch. ChatGPT has been extremely useful, but also writing up short descriptions. Like it's an 80 character field on the Android side on Google Play. Writing those up just like the long description, but also keyword optimizing them. So we input ChatGPT with this is a short description for an app. We would like to infuse these keywords in it. Can you please do it? and it basically optimizes based on keyword density, based on our input. We do the same thing for long description. We tell ChatGPT, this is the long description for our health and fitness app. I'm making this up. And we would like to make sure we have the cycling keyword at least 7 times in this long description. Can you revise the long description to make sure we have the cycling keyword 7 times? Another one that we use is keyword research. We basically ask ChatGPT for keyword recommendations for certain apps, and the recommendations are extremely helpful. So all in all, like what I'm trying to say is, I think it's going to save us a lot of time. I think it's going to increase the quality of the work that we do. And this is only by, like, ChatGPT isn't meant for app store optimization. We're basically using it for ASO. The moment ASO tools like SplitMetrics end up like building features around it with a more refined outlook, I think there's going to be some really interesting tools out there and features out there.
Yeah, I think that there would potentially be some concerns about AI taking jobs,
Yeah.
That was going to be my thought as well. Just like, it's all, I can see it being used for copy and keywords. It sounds like just towards the end of your conversation there, where like a company like ours, like SplitMetrics, using it in order to kind of bolster our offering. I think that would be key. So Hannah, I would love to kind of turn it over to you and just hear from your perspective how ChatGPT is kind of fitting within your work style.
Yeah, I'm like, speaking about jobs, I'm sure it's not about replacing jobs. It's about empowering the people who use it. Like, as Levent said, so many new opportunities, enhancement into the processes. So that's an amazing opportunity for us as well. So basically, in my opinion, in general, AI, because there are so many platforms that offer AI services right now, this will help those who can embrace this technology, being more competitive on the marketing landscape. By the way, speaking about like referring to what Levent said about the help that the, let's say, ChatGPT, but there are other tools that help with that. I know that user acquisition managers, ASO managers are using it for targeting, for user-based segmentations, for campaigns optimization, search terms mining, keywords mining, writing text for ads. And these are great opportunities, in fact. The best part for me here is that with these technologies, we can not only speed up the process, which is great and amazing for me, but also produce some even higher quality content. I speak with publishers and developers who help, who work with SplitMetrics just to make their user acquisition processes more simple, more efficient. And I observe how user acquisition and ASO professionals start using these technologies, AI technologies, in their processes to increase their productivity. I recently read on Twitter that the guys tried the AI to generate creatives for their product page. And actually, as a result, it gave them 14% conversion increase, which is a very good result, especially when it comes to big number of users that install your app. So definitely that's an opportunity for everyone, for marketers and for the whole world. I personally already use a lot of AI provided tools. Yeah,
it's going to make life easier. I completely agree. Matt, would love to just kind of quickly understand your thought on this as well.
Yeah, thank you, Tyler. Thank you. Yeah, ChatGPT, I love this example. And I just played with it a little bit to prepare for our webinar. I realized the joke it makes is not really funny. But then I also saw that it says that if your wife says that 2 + 6 = 9, then she's probably right. So ChatGPT is definitely smarter than some of us already. And with that, how really like all this visual AI, that text AI can be implemented in the ASA management tool is just if you imagine this ASA tool that will automatically create the huge list of all keywords and all possible combinations. Then it clusters it separately based on the semantic of those keywords to create the different groups for the CPPs and communicate to the design tool that creates those CPP as well and applies to those respective clusters of keywords. And this process is like constantly testing new visuals, because then you don't have really this bottleneck of creating the visuals. Like Hannah mentioned, that it's already used in the industry, and I saw some amazing examples with Singular webinar a couple of days ago with the icons, where as well you need some intervention from the SO manager, but it just speeds up the process so much. So I think it doesn't end there with doing this, like creating the CPPs, because also for the bidding algorithm, it's not just about like finding this optimum bid within your target cost per conversion, but it's also about AI being able to recognize what is the competitor strategy for bidding, to outsmart it, somehow make it spend more and kick it out of the auction. And it doesn't end there, because then the smart assistant can put together all this data from different channels in the marketing mix, and then compare it to the benchmarks and the average in the industry to sort of provide this insight and recommendation for the UA manager about where to put attention and how to plan, how to do the decision making. So yeah, would that be implemented in 2023 in all the ASA management tool? I think, probably not, but with all the technology and what we see right now, I think all these ideas are just scratching the surface of what's possible.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It'll be exciting over the next year and couple of years to see how this is implemented and how it's used throughout all walks of business, not just in our area. Let's move on to question 4, which relates to privacy and tracking. To our experts about user privacy and measurement, demand for transparency is increasing, and it's obvious that in 2023 it's going to be the year of user privacy, and all our eyes are on Apple ATT and Google's upcoming deprecation of cookies and their privacy sandbox initiative that we found out about, I think last year or the year before. How privacy restrictions and mobile measurement are going to exist in 2023. I'll push that question over to Matt first.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tyler. Yeah, it isn't the most fun topic, I think, for UA managers, especially about the measurement and the privacy and what changes we see, and if the optimistic outlook would be that yet another version of Scan would be efficient to actually help to attribute those different advertising channels. We're still yet to observe it. So yeah, maybe one option would be to wait until it happens and hold the budgets until you can spend them, but probably is not the optimal tactic in the competitive environment right now. So Anna also mentioned this web-to-app campaigns that might help publishers actually go around these limitations with the privacy Apple introduced, for example. But I think it's not everyone that are ready to invest into it, to learn it, to onboard this kind of new toolkit, which as well would differentiate one UA professional from another, just affecting the results at the end. And we're also speaking with MMPs and then seeing that apparently, the businesses are not relying on just like another version of Scan will be so efficient as possible. So they're implementing this hybrid measurement and big data heavy approaches. And the interesting thing I heard just recently is about this possibility that maybe with years, we will just forget about this attribution and being able to track our advertising spend and get back to this alternative measurement methods that were used in the 80s to track the effectiveness of TV advertising campaigns. Maybe that's also an option. Yeah,
it's certainly not the revenue question that is sexy, but just understanding what's coming down the line in terms of privacy, especially Apple and Google's play on this, I think is extremely important in just understanding how we do our outreach and how we protect ourselves from what's been going on between Apple and Google over the past couple of years. Thanks, Matt. I appreciate it. I'm going to move on now to our fifth question, which is centered around how UA and ASO can sort of live together in synergy. So a well-balanced combination of organic and paid acquisition is vital in acquiring a loyal and diverse user base. But as marketers, we'll be operating with smaller teams, lower budgets, and the same revenue expectations at best. So Levent, I'm curious to know, how are you going to allocate your resources with all of those different variables?
Yeah, sure. That's a great question too. I mean, as you all know, like the relationship between ASO and paid UA is like the relationship between chicken and egg, right? The two of them basically feed onto each other. And just to summarize it all, like better ASO basically means that you have a better conversion rate, which means you have a lower unit cost on the paid UA side, so a higher ROI. And on the flip side, as you drive more installs and more users from the paid UA channels, your install velocity is growing. And on the ASO side, as you know, both Apple and Google's keyword ranking algorithms take overall install velocity as one of the main keyword ranking algorithm signals. So higher install driven from paid UA also has a positive impact on keyword rankings. So the two of them have great impact on each other. So marketers will need to be extremely careful when they're pulling back on both ASO and on paid UA, because there will definitely be unexpected consequences that they may not necessarily expect to see. Number one is, let's say they're cutting back on their paid UA spend, but their ASO investment is staying the same. There will still be some negative impact on the visibility of the app in the App Store among keyword searches, just because of the fact of this install velocity that I have just mentioned. Or if we think about the opposite scenario, they keep their paid UA as is, but cutting back on their ASO spend or ASO investment, they're not going to have a good foothold on their conversion rate on their store listing page, which can over time go down if you don't maintain it, which will then have a negative impact on your paid UA. So I don't have a clear answer to like how to battle this, because I honestly don't think there is. I think the best thing that marketers can do is to be prepared for these unexpected implications and be aware that their paid UA cuts will have negative impact on ASO and maybe even on other aspects of their marketing mix.
Yeah, as resources become fewer and fewer, it's testing and understanding what's working, I think, is going to be best in identifying how to have good synergy between both UA and ASO. Hannah, would love to just get your 2 cents on it as well.
Yeah, 100% agree with Levent. We at SplitMetrics work with both ASO and paid user acquisition, especially with Apple search ads. And we see the direct correlation in between your ASO conversions results, performance, and the results on Apple search ads. So meaning that when your ASO part is optimized, you will get better results in terms of the return on investment, CPI on Apple search ads, and I'm sure on other channels as well, and vice versa. We recently had an interesting case with the agency team, SplitMetrics agency. They run both Apple search ads and ASO for our clients, and they managed to scale for a niche app by combining user acquisition and ASO. The UA specialists ran the Apple search ads discovery campaign, Usually the discovery campaign is used to find new relevant keywords for Apple search ads. But this campaign helped the ASO team find a large number of meta keywords for the app's title, which were not displayed by popular ASO automation tools that provide keywords recommendations for metadata. As a result of this collaboration, the volume of installs grew by impressive 45%. So this is a really, really good result. And this is a result of combining both ASO efforts and user acquisition team's efforts. So my advice is definitely utilize combine efforts, work together. Both ASO and UA team work together, discuss strategies, especially when we have, for example, now custom product pages for Apple search ads. This is something that also brings great result when they're created in a smart way for the target audience. Again, this is the effort of both UA and ASO teams. So my strong advice is to combine efforts of both teams, and it is really worth the effort, and it will bring you great results.
Awesome. Thanks for your insight. I really appreciate it. As we sort of come towards the end of the webinar, I wanted to ask one more question before we go into the live Q&A. So, you know, if everyone could please, or I mean, I'll start with Levant, but if you could please share the most creative, in your opinion, approaches to drive ROI that can help UA and ASO professionals weather the storm and thrive in 2023. What are your thoughts on that? Looking to hear your perspective, Levant.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Tyler. Like, I'm personally not the from it. As if you look at me as a marketer, I'm more like my approach is always like be more systematic rather than chase creative little hacks, because in the long run, at least in my experience, I've seen that that has been the biggest driver for growth. But that's still a really good question. I guess like the name of the game at this point, and we've mentioned this in the beginning of the webinar, is to stay as ROI driven as possible. That's going to be the one thing. But since you asked me something creative, maybe I can try to come up with something that our audience may find useful. So with the landscape shifting on the Apple search ad side, with budgets being cut down, etc., what we have started seeing on the Apple search ad side, which requires us to be a little more creative with our approach, is the fact that certain keywords that have not performed that well at a given time, they may start performing really well later on. And this started happening a lot more recently, just because of the fact that your competitors are essentially cutting back on spend, which means if you tested a keyword a few months ago and it was too expensive for you, it's a really good idea to test it out again, like systematically, like once in a while, maybe once a month or something like that, just to make sure. Maybe like you don't know, like maybe the competition on that keyword has gone down, and now it has come to an affordable point for you. So that is one like creative thing that I can advise marketers, like continuously test keywords that did not perform that well for you in the past. Because like, especially over the past few months, we have seen this to be the case for quite a huge number of keywords and quite a huge number of our clients.
That's great insight, and makes me think, so I appreciate it. Matt, would love to get your kind of final thoughts on this as well.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, Tyler. Yeah, this retesting concept definitely makes a lot of sense when I hear a publisher says a keyword was too expensive, so pause it. It's always a topic for a separate discussion, actually. But anyway, speaking about something creative, speaking about this literally, it's definitely investing in the creative in the ASO for sure. That is the creative way of improving the ROI. But then if you ask me about something special that I heard of like recently, that was definitely not related to the ASA, but for the unicorn creative in the other advertising channels, and using this produce something similar request to the chat GPT when you're looking at something textual or with the visuals as well, is something that I think will make them more challenging those like the performance of the top publishers that would just get copied like constantly, because now it has never been easy. Speaking of Apple search ads, the trends and the creative strategies you can see in the custom product pages is incentivizing the users with the custom product pages for some specific search terms, like the competitor search term. I think it's widely spread with the gambling, fintech apps as well. When the CPP for normally the keyword with less conversion would include there some sweet deal that would actually boost the conversion, and especially for those let's say the broker apps for some like top regions where the CPA offers would be like, the publishers are ready to pay hundreds of dollars for the actually converted user who started using the platform. There, this incentive that might look really big for the user, it's actually relatively okay given the boost in the conversion that you can get from there.
Awesome. Yeah, I completely agree, and it's good to hear some creative responses too. So thank you so much. That ends the sort of question and answer from my side portion of the webinar. I want to shift gears now and actually get into a quick live Q&A. I'm only going to have prompt one question due to timing, but hopefully it's a good one. So please, audience, if you want to as well, please post your questions in the chat. If we don't get to it, we can certainly respond to you over email and address those things directly to you. So my quick sort of live Q&A question that we have is how are you tracking the performance of meta ads, and what MMP kind of questions can you advise to around tracking for those meta ads? I'll ask Levant first. We'll kind of go through the group here, but Levant, I'd love to hear your response to tracking performance in meta ads.
So since we specialize in Apple search ads and not necessarily social paid social ads, maybe I'll skip this question and leave it to Hannah and Matt. It's probably the most fair thing to do.
I appreciate it. Thank you for the clarity. Hannah, why don't you start on that?
Yeah, thank you, Tyler. Basically, I would say I would answer this question probably from the Apple Search Ads experience as well, and this is what I know from our clients. But basically, this is the most popular list of the MMPs that are available once you Google it. Everyone knows this, like AppsFly, Adjust, Coachava, Singular, Branch, and some other MMPs as well. So you can basically use any of them depending, they have different conditions, different functionalities. So it depends, of course, because from the Apple Search Ads perspective, I would say the MMPs that I've just named are the most popular one to track the post-install performance and performance of the channel in general.
Awesome. And Levant, I wanted to just bring you into one question at least. So,
Sure.
What is the top performing paid UA channel for lifestyle apps that you're seeing?
For lifestyle apps, again, I would probably put Apple Search Ads and paid social, Facebook, TikTok ads, probably on a similar level for lifestyle apps. And when I think of lifestyle apps, I mostly think about like dating applications. So as long as you have a really strong creative plan for meta ads, I think that can work really, really well. Apple Search Ads obviously is a no-brainer on that front.
I agree. Yeah, if I can add a little bit, I think most popular channels would work here, but the benefit of Apple Search Ads is that it keeps attributing traffic and showing conversions correctly. So if the marketer is interested in, of course, he's interested in targeting traffic and targeting users that would bring the best performance, Apple Search Ads would be one of the top channels here, because many advertisers opt for Apple Search Ads. Advertisers in the lifestyle category, they choose Apple Search Ads to, retain control over ad metrics, because other metrics have some, challenges, issues with attribution right now. In this regard, Apple Search Ads is showing better results, because you can feel more confident in the performance results that you get there.
Yeah, accuracy seems to be key there. Fantastic. Well, I want to wrap this up now. I'd like to thank everyone for their participation, and hope we brought some actionable insights and steps to prepare you for your UA and ASO strategies for 2023. A huge thanks to our panelists from ShyftUp, Levant, and then also from my colleagues, SplitMetrics here, Hannah and Matt. Really appreciate you participating in this. I know our final poll has already been launched. Please feel free to provide your feedback and experiences with the session. And thank you again. I appreciate your time, and have a great rest of the evening for some of you, and a great day for some of us. So
yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much. Let's go.
Bye.
Bye.